Right. Good evening, everybody. We are here and excited to be here. I'm Yolanda Hinton, host of FYI Radio Show and FYI After Dark, here with the co-host of FYI Radio Morning Show Live, Mr. E.
And a,
Edward
ple-
Everett.
and a pleasant good afternoon to you. And thank you all so much for tuning in to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. I'm co host Ed Everett, and good afternoon.
I tell you what, we need to pull in our Instagram viewers. So you all give me about 30 seconds.
Huh?
We got to get them in here, and then we're going to start our show.
Sound like
Good evening again. I'm Yolanda Hinton, host of FYI After Dark. So glad to be here. I want to welcome our platforms: Facebook Live, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you all like, share, comment, and subscribe. We will appreciate it. We want to thank you for tuning in, joining us, and we want to thank you for your support. We want to also welcome our sponsors, Bulwark Academy and Beard Gods. Check out the websites, www.bulwarkacademy.com, and you can go to Beard Gods, that's BeardGodz.com. Mr. Chris Hinton is there. He's got a lot of great things for you all. Father's Day is coming up, so he is definitely ready for you all to make sure you have some special gifts for your father. Tonight, part two, so excited. Our very special guest, Mr. Jason L. Baker. He's here to teach us more about cryptocurrency. And I want to say good evening to you, Jason.
Well, good evening to you all. Thank you for having me back.
I tell you what, yeah, we're going to have you back again and again and again because this is exciting and it is something that I really need to know more about. Our audience wants to know more about, cryptocurrency, and they also have some questions for you for later on. But in the meantime, Jason, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Jason Baker. I have been a crypto enthusiast since 2017, where I was not only just introduced to it, but I began to speculate and then heavily invest in crypto. It has been a journey from 2017 to 2025 to hear about something that you hear mainstream media kind of mock every time they talk about it, and then then they put it in the spotlight and say, "Oh, it's amazing, it's the best thing," and then the next thing you know, FOMO and fear all comes in within 30 minutes. And then here we are under a new administration that is really pushing for crypto to become more of a mainstream asset in our financial and daily lives. And so from 2017 to 2025, I have gone with the ebbs and flows of crypto. I've experienced the FOMO. I've experienced the fear. I've made money. I've lost money and made money again. And here being at this plateau, the advent beyond 50, for us Gen Xers and baby boomers and the silent generation that remain with us, I think it is imperative that we not rest on our laurels of the financial institutions of yesteryear, but understand that it is really time for us to take action and be forward thinking when it comes to the financial institutional technological innovations that are imminent, and be able to ensure that we invest in those and maintain our buying power.
Let's start with what cryptocurrency is. A lot of people want to know. That's one of the questions that we have for you. Jason, let's start there. Last time you were on, you talked a little bit about what it was. You educated us. We learned a lot, but let's just refresh and, tell our audience exactly what we're talking about.
So when we talk about crypto, really crypto is a world of digital assets. Cryptocurrency being one of those that we're most familiar with. When we talk about cryptocurrency, the first one that comes to people's mind is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It is the as they call it, the king of crypto, and they call it digital gold. And now in 2025, mainstream is starting to call it a store of value.
Wow.
There also are other types of cryptocurrencies. There are those that are tied to real world assets. And that's a term that's really starting to galvanize steam in 2025. There's also cryptocurrencies in the form of meme coins. You've probably heard of
Yes.
Dogecoin. You've heard of Shiba Inu. And I'll just kind of leave it within that within that frame without getting too complicated, because cryptocurrency in and of itself can be a bit scary, can be very daunting, and it can really turn folks in our age group kind of turn us off, because it is a very weird advent when it comes to finance.
Jason, where did it come from? All of a sudden, it's here. Where did it pop up from? Who discovered it? Who owns it? I mean, how did this thing come in existence?
Well, crypto has been gaining steam since the early 2000s. Though if someone were to do a Google search or something, you come away with a plethora of beginnings. The deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more you'll find. But I'll just kind of give the accepted perspective. It started with Satoshi, and there was a white paper that this anonymous person or group, no one knows, put together about achieving financial freedom away from the government and banking institutions. And this white paper, there were some very intuitive and insightful tech geniuses that took it, followed it, implemented it, and it became what it is, Bitcoin. As time has gone along, there have been other insightful visionaries that have taken that white paper from that Bitcoin white paper, and they've come out with their vision on how they want to solve problems in the modern era. So you'll have other coins such as Litecoin, which is a I would say not a derivative of Bitcoin, but it was intended to be faster and more efficient and less expensive than Bitcoin. You have others, and I don't want to get into the cult followings, but I'll just name it. You'll have others like XRP and others like XLM and Dogecoin. These came out years after that, and they too have gained their followings over the years. And so here we are in 2025, and we've gone from one crypto, Bitcoin, to well over 2,000 crypto entities across the crypto domain. And so because of that, because it has expanded such a wide range and such a wide net, and because the current administration wants to bring crypto into the mainstream, this is where you have the activities that are happening in government to try to wrap some safety nets through legislation around crypto to ensure that there is legislation to give it its left and right limits, and also to protect the consumers, us, and also to protect and give the banks an understanding of how to execute crypto without crippling our financial systems of remittance or our global financial systems.
Absolutely. And that's where we are today in our part two. We're preparing for the digital currency, the laws, the policies, and who will govern it. Let's talk about that, Jason, because you brought some updated, great information on the global financial institutions and how they began to transition to cryptocurrency. Talk about it.
So, do y'all remember, and I think we mentioned this the last time, in 2008, there was this particular president who made history by becoming the first of his kind. And one of the first problems he had to tackle was bailing out the banks.
Yes.
Okay. And bailed out the banks. And essentially, it was an IOU on future generations. So essentially, not us, but maybe young Christian, his generation, are going to have to foot the bill for what happened in 2008. And so essentially what we're seeing is that the deficit in our country, the deficits in countries across the world, as well as the global financial infrastructure is getting to a point where it's starting to plateau. And we're outpricing ourselves globally. We're at a point where the current system of remittance is slow, inefficient, ineffective for the business that must happen, given the way the world is structured now. Mm-hmm. We have this term called globalization, and this goes all the way back to the 1950s. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about having this emergence of assets, this emergence of capital, this emergence of activities on the global scale across countries.
Yes.
And ensuring that we're able to trade back and forth and be able to send money back and forth, because we've gotten to a point that has become a new normal.
Yes.
We're outpacing ourselves to the point where we've got to transition to a new system of remittance that keeps up with the demand. And so, absolutely, given our current global system of finance, and I'll just name one of the systems called SWIFT, it has too many intermediaries in the middle between one bank to another. So too many people's hands are in the pot. There's not a lot of transparency. Even though there is legislation, there are too many handshakes happening, and it's slow. Technology necessitates speed, efficiency, accuracy, and transparency. And that's where cryptocurrency and the technological infrastructure that enables it come into play.
Absolutely. So the banks at this point, like you said, they have to begin to educate themselves. They have to begin to get into the flow with what's going to happen and how this thing is ushered in. Have we begun the process as of now? And what laws and what things are coming that's going to assure that it goes smoothly?
Yeah, so the banks have, so I'll put it like this here. There are two perspectives. When it comes to change is hard. Sometimes change comes because we want it and we need it. Sometimes change comes because we're desperate and it is a necessity. And we're kind of in a hybrid situation right now with the banks.
Mm-hmm.
The banks wanted to hold on to the old way of remittance because it worked.
Yes.
However, as the banks continue to see how individuals are not reliant on the banks as they used to be, or when you take a look at it from a global perspective and you see denied areas and denied areas within countries that don't have the modern infrastructure that we have here in the United States or other countries that are similar, and they're finding their own way to solve their financial problems.
Mm-hmm.
And banks want to be able to take control of that. Central banks across the world, when they start feeling like they're losing a grip
Mm-hmm.
on what you and I are able to do amongst ourselves, they start sniffing around and saying, what's going on? What are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you've got peer-to-peer interactions and transactions that are happening on a blockchain, and you've got individuals who are coming out of nowhere, becoming millionaires, multimillionaires, and
Yeah.
billionaires, and they didn't go through a bank. That's when the
Yeah.
central banks are saying, you know, there's something to this crypto. So one of the biggest banks and the largest bank in the United States, JP Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
I remember back in 2017, they were staunchly against cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's a sham, it's this, it's that, especially when Bitcoin made its all-time high up to 18,000. We wish we were back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
dropped back down to 3,000. We wish we were back in those days. But while that was happening, and they were saying we're against it, in the back rooms, they were buying it as a speculative asset.
Mm.
Fidelity, one of the more known and trusted asset managers and institutions in the United States, they were against it. They didn't speak as loudly as JP Morgan, but they were speculating. Bank of America didn't necessarily go the route of Bitcoin, but they went the route of a company called Ripple, who
Mm-hmm.
has a crypto called XRP. And they began to test their banking system on this thing called an XRP ledger, which enables exceptional speed, accuracy, and transparency of financial remittance. And so you've had banks speculating, secretly partnering, secretly buying crypto over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the perspective because it's all about risk.
Yes.
If it's a new speculative asset that doesn't have a history, I get it. But now we're at a point where it is tried, tested, and proven and hasn't been hacked, talking about Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
And we're in a plateau where we have an administration that supports it. I understand why previous administrations fought so hard against it. They didn't understand it.
Yes.
It was a threat to the current system. It was in its infancy, and they didn't have regulatory statutes to govern it. Now we have an administration that is taking the steps to put the regulatory left and right limits and the legislative left and right limits in place to ensure banks understand what they need to do in order to issue or be custodians of cryptocurrency, and to ensure the government has the framework to go after those
Absolutely.
who are
Yes.
doing things that are either illegal or illicit or outside of the framework of legislation. And I believe that the banks are at a point right now where they're just waiting with bated breath to say, give me what I
Yes.
need to be able to implement and put crypto into this space for the average American, the average citizen, the average human being to be able to have access to it. And that kind of thing is in the works. It's taking its time, and eventually it will get here in 2025. When it does, that's what things are going to dramatically change the way we see finance going forward.
Jason, I want to ask you a personal question. We're going to get back to some of the things that are happening and some of the updates. How did you discover it? What was the appeal for you? Because you got in it, you said early, mid 2000s. How did you get into it, before a lot of folks?
I'll say this. I wish I'd gotten into it earlier. And I wish I had a mentor.
Yes.
And I wish I had someone yanking my ear, showing me the way. I stumbled my way into crypto through scams. Wow. So in other words, I would say I lost $5,000 before I bought my first cryptocurrency.
Yes.
In a scam.
Wow.
Because I was interested, I was searching, I was looking, and let me qualify scam, because we throw that word around a lot. I call it a scam because I didn't get what I wanted.
Okay.
I'm going to give benefit of the doubt. There are a lot of individuals who see a problem that needs to be solved, and they solve it utilizing blockchain technology, which is the foundational infrastructure for cryptocurrency. Won't talk about that because it's, that's like talking about trying to get a quick certificate in banking systemology. That's the foundation for cryptocurrency is blockchain technology, and it seeks to solve a problem. And just like a lot of small businesses and startups that fail within the first 5 years, they say 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. A lot of these crypto startups fail within in their infancy. They don't take off. And essentially, just like any investment, be prepared to lose what you put in, and hope it takes off and you gain a profit. And so I invested in a startup that fell completely flat. Now, that's on one hand. On the other hand, there are individuals that get in, and matter of fact, there's a social media influencer, and she made a name for herself going to and she started a coin, and they had the intention of doing what they call a pump and dump. That means they put the coin out there and say, hey, you can get this coin, and people put money into the coin, and the individuals that own the coin only have the intention of getting your money and shutting off the website, running away with it. And that's what happened with that social media influencer. So that's called a pump and dump scheme. So there are different situations where you have businesses with intent that fall flat and pump and dumps. And at the end of the day, the individual that is left without their money is going to say the same word. Scam. I feel like I got scammed. So that's why I want to kind of clarify that in any investment, do your due diligence and don't invest what you're not willing to lose.
Wow.
If you're going to invest, you've got to believe in what you're investing so that in case it fails, you can say, well, at least I believed in it.
Yeah.
And you can walk away and say, well, you win some, you lose some. And in crypto, I've definitely lost some before I won some.
Wow, that is amazing. So, Mr. E, do you have any questions? And then we're going to move.
I'm learning because what Mr. Baker has said was the scams out there, because there were some folks who I looked at some of these crypto currency where they're saying join me, give me this, and this, and I'll give you all these coins that has no value. And once you invest in that, they're gone. Bye bye. See you later. You can't. And they had another, Mr. Baker, where they had a scam where they said, I seen your name in this and found out that you had this amount in your cryptocurrency. And you said, you don't know my name, you don't know who I am. And so when you investigate, it's all they said, I got you.
Absolutely.
And then, like Mr. Baker said, if you don't believe in it, ask questions. And that's what I've been doing. I've been asking questions because there are so many people out there and banks out there that like Think Bank and other banks that are around the alleys that are really known for cryptocurrencies, around the world. So I've been doing some homework, Mr. Baker, because I really got duped. I really thought it was a great thing, cryptocurrency. And I saw one of the fellows that was in the Navy. He talked to me about these crypto. He said, Mr. Eddie, you need to get a hold of these cryptocurrency. And I told him, if he don't get out of my face now, because I seen so many of the, like you said, scams.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is fear is playing a big part in, our society now. My question to you, Jason, is how do we calm the fears? How will they calm the fear? Will it come through education? Will it come through a pace, of us getting used to? How do you feel that the misinformation and the fears are going to be calmed?
Okay. So the first thing I'll address is fear.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need cryptocurrency to have fear. Mm-hmm. Because just as I have, I found my way investing in something that I thought was going to take off. Mm-hmm. I've fallen, I would say in some cases victim, or I've invested cash in activities that either failed, flopped, or were actually devious type of activities or scams. So the bottom line is it can happen regardless of what type of system of remittance that you're using. Wow. The biggest thing is to really kind of focus on these ideas. One, is the institution credible?
Yes.
Two, are they offering you something that sounds too good to be true? In other words, we're going to do this. All you need to do is that.
Wow.
Sounds too good to be true.
Yes.
But I'm going to give you the biggest problem that people need to solve. Their own internal reasoning for investing in the first place.
Wow.
And the first reason is people have need. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that need can be connected to necessity or greed. Okay. The first one, let's talk about need. If you're in a situation where you like, look, I got my rent or my mortgage, I need to clothe this, I need to feed that, and you're risking your last for this thing, you have to really think about what you're putting at risk in order to get a need fulfilled. Because when it comes down to it and it doesn't work out, who's to blame? Because you put everything at risk for a need. Yeah. Now, the second part is greed. Because sometimes we just want more money so that we can do what? Spend. More money to spend. When you ask somebody, this is the average American, you say, if I gave you $1 million, what would you do with it? Very rare situations would you hear an American say, I would put it in a high yield account, I would put it in a trust, I would invest in. The first thing they'll say is, I'll buy this,
Yes.
I'll buy that, I'll get that.
Yes.
So when it comes to need and greed, and you're risking what you've got to fulfill those, you're the biggest problem. The only thing that the individuals that are out there doing is offering you an opportunity to invest your money, to take it, or just be you to lose it. So everybody really needs to check their intentions first.
Yes.
Before they go out investing in anything.
Absolutely.
You decide you want to invest in a cheeseburger, you better make sure you need that cheeseburger. You want that cheeseburger. Because I've got the cheeseburger and it was like,
want all that.
Well, I'm hungry enough. Let me go ahead and eat it. All right.
Wow.
So I'm being a little whimsical here to kind of, not make people feel low on edge too much. Yes. But the bottom line is really think about why you're investing in the first place. Yes. Now, let me put that in context, because if you don't know about investing, you just want to know or want to get your feet wet in investing. Mm-hmm. Think about what you're trying to do. Why are you trying to invest? Are you investing because you want to be able to save a little money? And if that's it, well, the first thing to do, if it were me, focus on savings. Be the first thing I do. Let me get a savings account.
Yes.
Then I would elevate that after I got 4 figures. I elevate that to a high yield savings account so I can get more in interest. And then after that, I get more money into that. I would look at a brokerage account, an individual brokerage account. Mm-hmm. And after that, I would start studying individual stocks that give dividends. Or I would look at deflationary assets, which is the advent where we are, cryptocurrency. Wow. And so when we take a look at where we are with this inflation on the rise, this is why banks are getting into cryptocurrency. Inflation is on the rise. It is diminishing the value of the dollar. Cryptocurrency is a hedge against inflation. And as the dollar devalues with the rise of inflation, crypto deflates and becomes stronger.
Wow.
We saw this since our last update, where Bitcoin broke its all-time high just under $112,000. It went from 94,000, and now it shot up to an all-time high, just under 112,000. Now it's back to roughly 105,000, going 106,000.
Wow.
So if you were to invest last month, and let's say you said, let me put a couple of $1,000 into Bitcoin, and it hit its all-time highs, you made a very nice profit.
Whoa.
In a few weeks, because it's deflationary. Whereas if you just held your money in a mattress, you still got your money, but those eggs are more expensive than they were a month ago.
Absolutely. Jason, let's talk about, you've given us some information. You said on March 28, 2025, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation issued new guidance clarifying the process for FDIC supervised financial institutions to engage in cryptocurrency related activities. Talk about that.
Yeah. So this is one of the things I have a small group of folks that I work with that I've introduced to crypto. One of the individuals said, "Hey, is crypto FDIC insured?" And I had to tell that person, I said, no. And that made that person a little like, whoa, hands, risk off. And I appreciated that. One of the things when it comes to crypto, we talk about legislation.
Yes.
If banks are going to get involved, they've got to make sure that if they're going to have an offering of crypto, that it is insured to protect the individuals. Because banks have a tendency, as you saw in 2008 and in previous decades, they have a tendency to overspend, under deliver, over expand, and they come to the government for a bailout.
True.
And we're at a point where the deficit is so high, thanks in part to the banks, that we as a country, as a nation, don't have it to be able to bail banks out anymore.
Wow.
And so I really don't want to get into politics, but I want to talk about the intent of the current administration and the leader of administration, who I won't name, but we know what we're talking about.
Yes.
He inherited, and hey, if you run for president, you're going to get what you get.
Absolutely.
He inherited a big deficit. He has a problem that he has to solve. Can't print any more money, because the more money you print, the more you devalue the dollar. The dollar is the global asset, essentially. And I'm forgetting the term. I'll get it in a moment. But the bottom line is, trust in the U.S. dollar must remain, because we essentially, countries around the world, we talk about globalization. The U.S. dollar is the global reserve. Okay,
yes.
That's the word, global reserve. And so the bottom line is, when the dollar loses value, it causes exceptional volatility on the global scale. You keep devaluing the dollar because you keep printing money. People lose trust in the dollar, and then they start doing other stuff. And you're seeing other stuff that's starting to happen. You heard this thing called BRICS?
Tell us about it.
This is Brazil, Russia, India, China, BRICS. And they're saying, we don't need the dollar. We're going to get our own thing. Let me be a little more controversial. This guy named Gaddafi, who said, Africa, the continent that's mineral rich, we don't need the dollar. We'll come up with our own currency, gold, because we got plenty of it. When you have countries starting to buck the dollar, that puts everybody at risk, because it is the global reserve. Get back to the current administration. How do we solve this problem? Well, there's this new asset called cryptocurrency. There's this thing called Bitcoin. They call it digital gold. It's a store of value, and it continues to increase, and it is not pegged to the dollar. It is detached from the dollar, and every time the dollar goes down, it goes up. And the same thing with other cryptos that are called altcoins or alternative coins, such as Ethereum, XRP, and stable coins like Tether and USDC. They maintain their value. They're volatile, but they're constantly going up against the dollar.
Absolutely.
So he's looking at this as an opportunity for America, as well as the world, to say, let us start to look at other options for digitized assets and digitized money, because the current fiat system just ain't doing it anymore. And this is in part how he solves the problem of getting the country out of a bind, so that this debt can be addressed and get our hands around it and boost the economy to a point where this $36 trillion is peanuts. Because just imagine you boost the GDP by introducing cryptocurrency at a global scale, and the GDP 10x's. And 36 trillion now looks like what 36 billion looks like now. Y'all remember when we were in the 80s and somebody said I'm going to rob this bank for $1 billion. And everybody laughed like $1 billion. Get out of here. It was funny. It was comical. Now, if you said $1 million, it was like, oh God, he's serious. But if you said $1 billion, you would look at the robber and say, get out of here. That everybody would laugh at him. Yes. But now a billionaire is a very common term now. Mm-hmm. And $1 trillion being introduced into the lexicon is a new normal now.
Yes.
And so the thing is, we're getting acclimatized to understanding money at a grander scale more than ever before. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you have to understand that this 36 trillion, that seems like a big problem. When you introduce something that's more technologically advanced, that enhances the way we do global finance and could 10x global finance exponentially through speed, innovation, and transparency, to make 36 trillion look like 36 billion would be a great feat. And not just the administration, not just the country, but holistically, globally, I believe we would go into this thing he called the golden era. Mm-hmm. Now, that is just me looking at this from a highly optimistic perspective, that I believe that the intent is there, the capabilities are there. Mm-hmm. We just need the legislation and the new normal to get there in order for us to advance into a new financial system and a new global financial awareness.
Wow, amazing.
I have a question. Yes. I want to jump in. I have a question. The competitiveness of different coins. How many coins do you know of that's in competition with the Bitcoin?
Okay. So I'll put it like this. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, they serve a different purpose and they solve a different problem. Oh. So Bitcoin stands on its own.
Okay.
And when it comes down to it, no other coin is really trying to compete with Bitcoin. Because the bottom line is Bitcoin is first. Bitcoin in and of itself has a $2 trillion market cap. The cryptocurrency market right now, as I'm looking at it, has a current market cap of 3.29 trillion.
Wow.
And Bitcoin is dominating that at 63%.
Whoa.
Just one coin. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then there's all the rest. So there's really no competition. So that's one. Two, there are other coins that have a market cap that is going that is increasing in value, and I'll just talk about a few of those right quick. So when I take a look at and I got to give a shout out to CoinMarketCap. We take a look at Bitcoin, $2 trillion market cap. The number 2 coin is Ethereum. That has a market cap of just over 300 billion. Do you see the difference between number 1 and number 2?
Yeah.
The third is a stable coin called Tether that has a market cap, and that's the number 3 coin, 153 million, and XRP at number 4, 129 billion, 153 billion, and 129 billion respectively.
Wow.
There is no competition when we look at market cap. Now, when we look at potential based off of the problems that they solve, Ethereum, they call that the number 2 coin, and they also call Ethereum the dominant coin or the king of alternative coins. And is Ethereum going to maintain its dominance? Who knows? Because when you take a look at what the current administration wants to do, the current administration wants to make the United States the what? Crypto capital of the world.
Yes.
And they want American-based coins to be the dominating coins. Bitcoin, nobody knows where it came from. Nobody knows who Satoshi is. Ethereum, that's a European company. XRP, that's an American company. Now, what does XRP do? XRP solves a problem for institutions. And this thing called the XRP ledger makes transactions between institutions exponentially faster than the current fiat remittance system, such as SWIFT. So it solves that problem. And so when you're talking about a current system where you're sending money from, matter of fact, I put it like this. I did a transfer from one of my American banks to another account in the American bank. It took 3 days, and we're fine with that.
Yeah.
So, okay, 3 days. If you pay a little surcharge, they could do it in 24 hours. And it's like, oh, wow. Just imagine if you can transfer money from one account to the other like that.
Instantly.
In an instant.
Mm.
And that's a problem that XRP and Ripple Labs and XRP Ledger is looking to solve. Now, we're just talking about your account, from one account to the other, savings and checking, or from Bank of America to Truist Bank or what have you. Just imagine being able to do that instantaneously. Yes. Imagine being able to send money. You're over in London and you need Mr. E. Hey, Mr. E, you know, I'm over here. Can you hook it up? As opposed to you waiting 7 days instantaneously.
Yes.
And that's the problem that a lot of cryptos are focused on. They focused on solving global problems. So when it comes to competition, it's not necessarily competition when it comes to who's going to outdo who. It's more about innovation and how it's going to solve real world problems and bring crypto into the forefront and to becoming a new normal in the lives of the average citizen.
You know, as I listen to you, Jason, it makes me feel as though crypto has a lot of arms. I think about, as you talk about investment, I think about when you talk about the global reserves, then now you talk about how fast we'll use it and how, you know, it'll come about and it will solve certain problems. Is this a thing with a lot of arms? It just seems like it's something big, but it's going to do a lot of things.
Yes. And that's what I have, being in this thing since 2017, that's what I've come to understand, is that the intent of a lot of these cryptos is to solve a problem. And the average individual that understands crypto, only thing they think about, I'm in it to make money. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. But this is what I want to do. I want to do a correlation between crypto and the stock market. Okay. So when you hear cryptocurrency, you just think of it as one entity. Yes. But when it comes to the stock market, you don't think about the stock market as an entity. You understand that the stock market is very dynamic. Yes. And when you go into the stock market and you want to invest in stocks, you have a lot of industries and indices from which to pick from. Yes. So let's say, for instance, you've got Bitcoin, you got Ethereum, you've got Tether. Well, in the stock market, you've got Google, you've got Amazon, you've got Meta or Facebook. Well, Facebook, Meta, the big overhaul. Well, let's talk about those companies. What kind of problem does Amazon solve? Well, it solves the problem of you having to go to the store and get stuff. What kind of problem does Facebook solve? It solves the problem of you being able to have to call somebody on the phone. You can connect to them in a different kind of way in very different modules. What kind of problem does Google solve? Google solves the problem of being able to access information. Cryptocurrencies do the same thing. They solve problems. And just like you'll go on the stock market and you'll see Amazon trading at $700 per share, Google's at 100 and something, Apple at 154. Cryptocurrency is the same way. You'll see it at this price, and that price.
Wow.
But the biggest thing when people say do your research, it really comes down to understanding what you're getting involved with, what problem it solves, believing in that, and then saying, here goes. Here we go.
Wow.
So one of the easiest cryptos to believe in is Bitcoin, because what does the current administration said? We see it as a store of value. If y'all remember Inauguration Day, it was a very different dynamic on the left and the right side.
Yes.
On the left, on the right side, you saw the outgoing administration and all the previous presidents and politicians.
Mm-hmm.
On the left side, you saw the incoming administration and all the business leaders.
Yes.
Those individuals, when he said we're going into a Gilded Age and a golden era, it included the stock market and the crypto market. And if anybody looked at that inauguration, because he essentially laid out his thesis for the next 4 years,
Yes.
he essentially said, you do this, 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 and this, you're going to make this, 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 and this.
Mm-hmm.
It has been the longest 6 months that I've experienced in my life.
Tell the truth. Yes. Yes.
Everything he laid out financially, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
The last time he was in office, a lot of folks said, I made a lot of money. And I was like, I ain't make no money. And I started talking to folks, and they were like, he said this, this, this. I followed this, this, this. I'm gonna just digress for a second.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things that are going to power crypto, energy. It's very important.
Whoa.
He just signed an executive order to expand our capability in the nuclear sector.
Mm-hmm.
There is a company called, and I'm going to mess up their name, Constellation Energy.
Mm-hmm.
They were in his latest press brief yesterday, or day before yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I said, they're not there for anything other than to make money.
Mm-hmm.
He's got them on TV, and he said their name, and he just signed an executive order. I might want to invest in that company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I went and did it. That company catapulted 15%. Their stock went up 15% in 24 hours.
Wow.
So what I'm saying to those in our age group and Xers and before, don't let your mind retire. Don't rest on the laurels that everything is okay. I'm not saying it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing we ain't gonna stop doing as we get older, we ain't gonna stop breathing.
That's right.
We ain't gonna stop believing.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't gonna stop waking up till we stop waking up. We ain't gonna stop eating. Well, in order to breathe, in order to eat, you need this thing called money.
Tell the truth.
And understanding that it is inflation that is killing our buying power,
Mm-hmm.
but understanding that this person that you may or may not like, he is literally telling us on TV what to invest in. It would be unwise of us to listen because we don't like him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He is more blatant than ever before, saying it's time to buy stock. He's had this thing called Liberation Day. Liberation Day resulted in the lowest stock market open in a recent history.
Mm-hmm.
The 7th and the 8th were beautiful days to buy stock. A lot of people missed out on it. And then stocks catapulted. The S&P, NASDAQ, the Dow catapulted.
Wow.
And he told us, time to buy stock. If you didn't listen, you weren't able to take advantage of the financial opportunity. This is something I'm hearing. I'm trying to keep it in the framework of crypto.
Yeah.
This is what I'm hearing in 2 different ears. And this is going to get to the point of religion and technology. I've been hearing this term lately in 2025 called the global reset, and this other term that I hope it don't escape me, called the great inheritance. The global reset and the great inheritance. The great inheritance has to do with the greatest transfer of wealth. I've been hearing it through prophetic Christian channels, where they keep talking about the global or this great transfer of wealth. They keep saying it. And I listen to it because I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. But there are times where, you get to a point where you believe because you want to. So I go over here and I listen to the technical analysts. They're saying the same thing. And they ain't religious folk.
Wow.
When I hear folks that call themselves having prophetic insight talk about great financial reset and the greatest transfer of wealth that's coming, and then I hear technical analysts saying the same thing, and I hear mainstream media, I think it's called Michael Lee, I hope I'm not messing up his name, who comes on every now and then with CNBC, and he keeps talking about the great melt up. Never heard that term in my life. Heard melt down, but a melt up in the market. It is time to be more prudent than ever for our generation. I was talking with someone who was older, and I said, one thing about us is we had to work for every penny we have because we didn't have the access. Younger generations have it. I was talking with a guy I'm in class with. He made $40,000 in a day. The person that I talked with was older, found that to be a mockery because they say, you know how long it took me to make $40,000? It took me 10 years to save up $40,000, and he made that in a day. Yes.
Woo.
Access to wealth is here and now, whether it be in the stock market or it be in the crypto market. Keeping our eyes and ears open, not resting on our laurels, not being so politically jaded that we don't listen to a individual who leaves this country tell us that it's time to invest and we don't do it because we don't like them, or don't look at the press conferences and he's got all the individuals that are going to make money come on those conferences.
Yes.
And we're living deliberately blind because of we don't like somebody, and we're missing out on the financial windfall, and we wonder why we're mad at that person because they keep getting richer. And our financial situation is the same. It's because we're sleeping while awake.
That is amazing.
And I'm sorry to sound like I'm preaching, but I got to do it because our generation, we have to, we're getting into the point where it's, hey, I'm about to draw my Social Security, or I'm about to retire. I want to take vacations. I don't want to think about work. But we have an opportunity now more than ever to be more successful. We have to have the mentality of Colonel Sanders. That man didn't get rich till he was 78.
No.
Here's the thing.
Better late than never. Samuel Jackson didn't make his big break till he was almost 50.
Yeah.
And Samuel Jackson been in the movie industry for years now. He was almost 50. Vera Wayne, she didn't make her first walk until she was in her 50s. The current administration, the current leader, he didn't become his net worth didn't go into the higher billions until he's now in his late 70s. He's been a young billionaire, he was a baby billionaire. This man is he's a mature billionaire.
Absolutely.
And he made that in the last 6 months.
Oh my.
And while you on that point of wealth transfer,
Mr. E, did you freeze? I think he did. He was going to mention wealth transfer. Go ahead.
What do you think is the strategy for wealth transfer?
The strategy for wealth transfer. So I would say the first thing is first. One, and I'll look at it from my perspective. You've got to want it.
Wow.
That's first things first. The second thing is understanding where the money is going and flowing. 2 places: the stock market, the crypto market. Those are the places where it's happening. And I am not advocating for any news agency, but I've encouraged different ones that I know. I say, I've done something in this administration I've never done before. Executive orders. He publishes those things like newspapers.
Yes.
Often. Each executive order, for the most part, tells you exactly what he's investing in. I tell folks that I work with in my group, I say, you need to read every executive order that he's ever come out with. Since you go all the way back to, and I think it's about a good 128 of them out there. And some of them, you can look at the title and say, okay, that ain't about nothing. That's just, it's just presidential stuff. But when it talks about legislation for this, executive order for that, blah, 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 from January 20th up to now, he has laid out the strategic framework for financial independence. And he's labeled the cabinets that have the lead for it. And when you take that and you go on their websites, they lay out the partnerships that they have with the companies.
Wow.
I've never followed executive orders, and they're very simple. Previous administrations, whether Republican or Democrat, they had these 5-10 page executive orders, and it's got all this legalese, flowery language you don't understand, heads or tails of it. His very, very comprehensive. It tells you exactly what you need to do. Now, this is what people do when they read the executive order. Oh, he said this, and they get all emotional about, DEI and doing this. I tell folks, get out of your feelings. Money doesn't care about how you feel. And if you're African American, those people on that bill, they did stuff to your ancestors, but you still spending it.
That's right. That's right. Say that one more time.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you, Jason. Say that again. Money doesn't what? Care how you
care about how you feel. And those human beings whose faces on those bills did stuff to your ancestors, but you still gladly spend it.
And you still spending it. My God, now I got to give you an amen on that. I got to pass the offer plate now.
So we've got to get out of our feelings of what these distractions. I'm not saying ignore them. Yeah, what I am saying is, as a country and the various peoples in our country that have been disenfranchised, that have had liberties taken, we've persevered. We're still here. Since we're here, we're going to remain here unless ICE comes get you. And I'm not making jokes. If you remain in here, you may as well keep your ear to the ground and start listening to what this person is saying. When somebody was in the office and had this special office called DOGE,
Yes.
that was the perfect time to go and buy that stock that person's associated with, because it tanked.
Yes.
Guess what? It has rebounded.
What?
So if you invested in that stock when it tanked, you in the green now. You definitely in the black. There have been so many blatant and obvious financial opportunities that have been plastered on our mainstream media news outlets. And the only thing that we're walking away with is heartburn, heartache, and headaches, as opposed to understanding the message on how to make money.
Amen. We have some, Jason, we have some questions, and I think some of these questions have already been answered from our audience. One person wants to know, how aggressive should we invest in cryptocurrency at this point?
This is an unqualified opinion as far as saying this in an audience, because I am not a financial advisor. I am a crypto enthusiast, and the activities and actions I've taken are mine and mine alone. However, these are my thoughts. I believe every American should have at least $1,200 in crypto. At least $1,200 in crypto. Within that $1,200, $500 or $600, half of it should be Bitcoin. Another portion of it should be XRP. And I will leave it at that. Absolutely. The reason I point out Bitcoin and XRP is because Bitcoin is the king of crypto. It is a store of value. And I point out XRP is because it is the leading American cryptocurrency. And the current leader of the country said he wants America to be the crypto capital of the world. And he is focused on making American crypto companies and American crypto the dominant cryptos.
Absolutely.
So I would say those two.
Yes.
At least $1,200 every American should have. This is my perspective.
Yes.
If you invested in Bitcoin when it would, matter of fact, if you look at Bitcoin right now at 104,000, just under 105,000, and technical analysts are expecting it to go up to about 128,000, and you've got a $500 investment, you just made a good $150 just for money sitting there.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Yes.
XRP sitting at $2.20 compared to $104,000.
Yeah.
XRP begins to gain its popularity and goes up to $4, $5, $6, $8. You have multiplied your account exponentially. Now put $1,200 in a savings account. You're gonna get what? I looked at my savings account the other day. I was like 35 cents. $1,000. 35 cents. That's it. It's a good thing that I pay bills with this account. Otherwise, okay, what other account, what even stock, unless you know how to do options trading or futures trading, unless you know how to pick the stock just right, what other place are you going to have a store where you can place your money in your own individual account and it grow exponentially?
Absolutely.
Far in between.
Wow.
With crypto, I've had family members that I've established crypto accounts for, and I said, leave it alone. And it has grown 3 times since they started it.
Wow. Here's another question. It says, how do I learn more about cryptocurrency?
Well, it depends on what you want to learn more about. If you're looking to just learn about how to establish an account, I will say this. There are crypto exchanges out there. I will name a few. One is Coinbase. One is called Kraken. And I'm not endorsing these.
All right.
You also have Robinhood.
Yeah.
And I'm naming these because these are American companies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would take a look at these three companies. Robinhood offers you the ability to not only have crypto, but you can also invest in the stock market.
Yes.
Kraken
Absolutely.
has also recently is a crypto centralized exchange, but also has entered the stock market as well. And Coinbase is among the, I think it is right now the number one American crypto exchange. Binance being, I think Binance is the number one exchange in the world right now. And Binance US has some limitations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, yeah, we are definitely get a great education, Jason, Mr. E. This is good information for us. We're going to let Jason either slip out and come back in, or hopefully it will recalibrate itself so he can come in. In the meantime, Mr. E, we're going to go over a little bit later some of our upcoming shows, what we do on FYI Radio Morning Show, and just give those updates on how people can follow us and how folk can be a special guest, intern, or sponsor. Jason is back. Let me give you this last question from our viewer. It says, does it work like the stock market? And I think you did give us some information, but that's what they want to know.
Yeah. So yes and no. Mm-hmm. Yes, in terms of if you've got money. Okay, so I'll give you a no first.
Yeah.
No, from the perspective that it's not stock.
Okay.
So the thing is, when it comes to stock market, when you're investing in the stock market, we're not talking trading in the stock market because that's a different thing. When you're investing in the stock market, you're buying shares that makes you somewhat of an owner, a small owner, or a fractional owner of that company. When it comes to crypto, you're buying the crypto and you're using it as a store of value that it will go up and you can utilize it to pay for stuff. So you're using it. You're going to use that crypto eventually to pay for stuff. The crypto billionaires or millionaires, what are they doing? When put like this, there's a guy had crypto when he had Bitcoin when it was at $800. It had say at 20. That's what $2 million. Dollars. Notice I said dollars.
Yes.
So the bottom line is about the equation. So he's a crypto millionaire, but if he doesn't exchange that money, if he doesn't cash that out, he's just rich on paper. So the bottom line is you're going to transfer those crypto, whatever it is, into whatever currency that your country accepts. And that's where the finance and the financial increase comes. And the crypto increasing in value and you cashing that out into US dollars.
That is amazing.
That was one of the greatest questions I want to know. How, is in order for it to be transferred over, you got to cash it out. I didn't know that you had to cash out crypto.
Yeah. Now, you don't have to. It could just sit there forever. But the bottom line is just like having a piece of gold in your house.
Right.
Well, how good is a piece of gold?
Just doing nothing.
If you ain't doing nothing with it.
Right. Right.
You can't eat, you can't build, you can't buy clothes if you don't do anything with that piece of gold.
Yeah, it just
absolutely. So Jason, we wanted you to give us a summary. I want to encourage folk to come on. We'll post. Jason will be back next month with a segment, and we want you all to have your questions ready, come back on and really learn more about, Jason's journey and how we can kind of get on the bandwagon and find out more about this thing called cryptocurrency. So Jason, we're going to get your summary.
So the bottom line is the integration of cryptocurrency and the blockchain into the banking system is going to be more pronounced as we go forward. The CLEAR Act, which we didn't get the chance to talk about this time, the Genius Act, which we didn't get a chance to talk about this time. These two pieces of legislation, one of them is already on the Senate floor being debated. Once those pass and get approved by the Senate and go up to the president for approval, and they become actionable laws, the banks are going to start to implement those capabilities into their banking system and start offering crypto in the form of stable coins, in the form of custodial assets, real assets to individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do one of two things. You can go and get your own crypto now, or you can wait for your bank to offer it to you. Only difference is if you go get it now, it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
If you go and wait for the bank to offer it to you, they're going to charge you an administrative fee, a custodial fee, and it's going to remain theirs. It's just going to be in your name.
Wow.
So you'll still have access to it from the bank, or you can own it through an exchange. Choice is yours.
Amazing. That is amazing. Jason, we want to say thank you so much for being on. We look forward to hearing from you on next month, bringing us more information. And I just want to say thank you, educating us and just inspiring us to look a little bit deeper than, where we've been, because we're going somewhere. Just like you said, moving forward, progress. Innovation, it's just here. You can't do nothing about change. Change is going to happen regardless of if you believe it or not. That's right. And so thank you so much for the information. We look forward to hearing from you on next month. And we want you to have a blessed evening.
And just before you go, Jason, I like that slogan, money don't care about how you feel. I like that. That excited me, because that's a true statement. Money don't care how you feel. All you got to do is just do, and the folks that's on that money, they might have did something wrong to you, but guess what? You still spending it, and I like that.
Absolutely. So you have a good day, Jason. We're going to do some updates on our schedule and stuff, but we look forward to hearing from you on next month.
All right. Thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Be blessed. Wow.
Wow.
So I tell you, wow, Mr. E, I feel like we're getting an education.
I did get education.
I'm just so glad. I'm just so glad of it, because, those are things that I want to learn more about. I'm like, what is this? And I know people are, wondering as well. Some people have already started investing. Some people, are talking about it. You got little niches and clubs and things like that, and folks are saying Bitcoin, or they're saying crypto, it's in their mouth, people are digesting it. And so we will look closer, and we will continue to learn more from Mr. Jason Baker. He's helping us and others, and we'll do our own research to find out what this thing is all about. So, Mr. E, we got some, first of all, tell folk about our FYI Radio Morning Show Live.
Just before I tell you about FYI Morning Show, I want to say good afternoon to Miss Christy Pettyfield. Thank you so much. Miss Mardell Lewis, Mr. Chris Hinton, Miss Tony Harsley. Thank you so very, very much for tuning in to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. Yes, this FYI radio show, and we're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 on WPCE 1400, WGPL 1350, Peace 95.3 FM, PCE 1400 AM, and on all social media platforms. Yes, we bring you what we call FYI for your information, because we want to help you to rise above mere survival. We don't want you to fall. We want you to have the best of everything. Not the second best, but the best. We talk about men issues. We talk about women issues. We talk about school safety. We talk about pool issues. We talk about how you feel, your feelings of when fathers is not at home. We bring up Mother's Day. We bring up Daddy's Day. We bring up everything that you would love to hear on FYI. So you got this golden opportunity to join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 on WPCE 1400. Now, if you want to hear us on the World Wide Web, that's heard all over the world, all you have to do is go to 1350 AM or 1400am.com. Click on the church webcast. When you click on the church webcast, you click and you listen live. That's all you have to do, and you can hear us all over the globe, from Iraq to Iran, all over the globe. You can hear FYI Radio Show. And don't forget, if you'd like to be a special guest or sponsor, or if you want to sit in our audience, all you got to do, if you'd like to sit in our audience, is send us your email. We'll email you back. That's right, on the date and time. And all you got to do is send it to FYI Radio Show live at gmail.com, or you can call us at 757-714-7861, or you can inbox us. That's Edward Everett's Facebook page, Miss Yolanda Lady Hinton's Facebook page, or FYI Facebook page. That's
Absolutely.
how you do it.
So our FYI Radio morning show live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but we're also, even though we're live radio, we're on the social media platforms. You can meet us on there with Facebook Live, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram.
Yeah.
You all can join us here, and you can chat with us, give us your opinions, and, just make sure you are in the loop with us. Our FYI After Dark, which this is our FYI After Dark platform, we're usually on Mondays. We'll be going backwards and forwards, just, building our audience more and more. So Wednesday we'll, kind of determine, is this a good fit? Or Monday evenings at 6 p.m., is that a good fit? So we will announce ahead of time when we'll be on. You can join us. You can be a part of our audience. He just told you by sending us your email. You can sit in and state your opinion or just listen in.
Yeah.
Be a great fit. So we have some upcoming shows on the morning show, and we have our Father's Day special with Mr. Chris Hinton, Beard Gods, and we're going to be talking to him about some fabulous things for Father's Day.
Right. That's right.
We really, really, and we said it today, Mr. E, we really, really want to make a big fuss over fathers.
That's right. We want to make a big issue over daddies. We want daddies to feel some kinds of wonderful, because daddies are the type of people that really, they want to make sure that the family is well taken care of first. They are so humble. They are so quiet, so cool, so calm and collected. But when you least expect it and your back is turned, and you made a big issue out of daddy, when your back is turned, they the happiest camper. You start their engine, they ready to run some more, and they won't quit. Because you have excited them, you have energized them, and you have built them up. Make daddies big.
We do it for Mother's Day. We go all out. You go to restaurants and it's wrapped around the building. The lines are long. Mom is in the house. We are loving on her so much. And we want to do the same thing for Dad, because just like Mr. E said, the investment that Dad has made on us, and, the investments that, he gives his children and the family. He works hard. A man is a hard-working man, and, for years and years, a man has really, really put a lot of effort into making sure his family has everything. And so we'll talk, we will highlight that. We'll talk with Mr. Chris Hinton. As a matter of fact, he's one of the sponsors, and you can go to his website now if you like, and get some of those items. It's beardgods.com, beardgodz.com, and you can get items for father, some great things. If he has a beard, you get things that can help make it more healthier. Yeah, if there's so many things that he has. So just visit the website and check it out. So he'll be on, and we'll talk with him about being a father and about providing a new business that really aids, to just like Mr. Jason Baker said. He said, you are fulfilling something that people need, and so he's providing these things and making sure you look good and feel healthy and keep yourself well groomed for your significant other and family. Also, we'll have our Fun Fridays women's issues that's coming up. We
Yes.
always have a good conversation, good topic about the women's issues. We'll continue that. And who doesn't love Monday Sports Talk? Mr. E, we're down to the finals.
That's
Talk
right. We
about it.
down to the finals of Monday Sports Talk, and you don't want to miss it. It starts on this weekend, tomorrow night. You're going to see the first kickoff with the Oklahoma OKC and also those Indiana Pacers. You don't want to miss Oklahoma Thunder. I've already given my prediction. I'll give it to you the next time we come together. But you got to see us on FYI in the AM on Monday for Sports Talk.
We love sports talk, and I mean, we are definitely fired up about these finals. You all make sure you tune in so you can give your prediction, and then we'll highlight and talk about some of the other things that we're going to do. And as a matter of fact, as we move the NBA over a little bit now,
That's right.
we'll go to the WNBA and highlight some of their games and things. And then we'll prepare as the months go on to what, Mr. E? The NFL.
To the NFL, football, National Football League, where you can see that hat shine. That hat.
And that is an exciting time. I'm looking forward to going to a professional game this year and really, experiencing that rah-rah, all the excitement that comes with the NFL. So just keep on tuning in on our Monday shows as well. FYI After Dark, upcoming shows, we have Relationships 2025. We're making sure our guests have their dates finalized and confirmed. Also, Hot Topics by host Yolanda Hinton. We're going to talk about the fentanyl problem, and we're going to be talking to Mr. Michael Marshall and others. He's going to do a part 2 and tell us where we are. There's some problems because those numbers are huge, Mr. E. This is not a little problem. This is not just a little teeny thing. This is something that's raging and it's taken over in our country. So those hot topics. Mr. E has Around the Town with Edward Everett, community news and events. That's fun. I love that because there's so much that goes on in your own backyard. And we're here in the Hampton Roads area. And we're especially at a time when there are a lot of events, there's a lot of news. We got political things happening right here in our own backyard. We've got all kind of conventions and people doing things. We really are back, Missy, if I can say this, we are really, really back into the groove past the pandemic, because I'm telling you, we were slowly coming out. But as we can see, people are starting to come back out to things, to events. People are, coming together without the fear, because talking about, shaking in your boots and trembling and wanting to hide under the bed through this pandemic, we really feel good that we can come out and we can breathe, and we can breathe without a mask. So we will be talking to and listening to Edward Everett, aka Mr. E, community news and events. Mr. E, I went past the
No, you didn't.
Portsmouth Casino, but I also went past that Norfolk area, and honey, they are moving forward with that casino. The casino bringing big money, but I hope I hope they continue to bring great shows, because my thing is the shows and the shopping. They're going to have hotels and everything, and they're going to have all kind of events, and Mr. E will cover those things.
That's right.
As well. And so we want you to follow us on social media. Make sure you all go to YouTube. We have Cristo Records One, that platform, CRISTO Records One. And we also have at FYI Radio Show host Yolanda Hinton. Go to that platform, give us the numbers, support us, and help us to really spread this show. We've been doing it for quite some time. We're really, really proud of it, and you all have helped support it and make it what it is. If you all have any suggestions or anything on some of the shows that you would like to hear about or participate in, you all let us know. Mr. E is going to give you that information. Again, you can be a special guest, intern, or sponsor. Mr. E, give them the tea on that.
All you got to do is give us a call at 757-714-7861. Again, that telephone number is 757-714-7861. Or you can inbox us or email us. If you inbox us at Edward Everett Facebook page, Miss Yolanda the Lady Hinton Facebook page, or FYI Facebook page. If you'd like to be a special guest, sit into our audience. All you had to do is email us your email, and we'll email you back the date and time that you can sit in our audience, and you send it to FYI Radio Show Live at gmail.com. Again, that's FYI Radio Show Live at gmail.com.
And listen, tomorrow night, we're talking about sports talk. Mr. E, let them know they got to keep it locked.
I got a basketball show. That's right. Keep it locked, right? Tomorrow night is the first game for the final playoff. I mean, it's going to be pandemonium. The best of the best is playing. The best of the East, the best of the West is playing. I mean, they got a barn burner tomorrow night, and you don't want to miss it. The Indiana Pacers playing against the OKC, Oklahoma Thunder. My God, it's going to be off the chain. You're going to see good basketball. You're going to see professional basketball. You're going to see defense, offense. You're going to see the best of the best. You're going to see plays being made. You're going to see acceleration of speed. You're going to see it tomorrow night. If you like basketball, my God, this is the final. Jump on the bandwagon. My prediction, for those who are listening now, OKC going to take it all the way.
All right now. So look, we're going to come back, of course, on Fun Friday. Women's Issues. We're coming with a great show. We want you to join us. Look, be blessed. Again, thank you, Mr. Jason Baker. Talking about cryptocurrency, money, and more, giving us that education and helping us to see things in a different perspective.
And
so, Mr. E,
and to drop them great nuggets on us by saying, money don't care how you feel.
It don't care.
It don't care how you feel. And the people that's on that money, you still spending it. What they did to you, what they did to your forefathers, you still spending it. And it don't really care about your feelings.
Absolutely. So look, all you all that have joined us, thank you, Christy, Modell, Chris, all you all that are on, all that I can't see, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support. We're going to see you back here on Monday at 9:30 a.m. for Fun Friday. Have a wonderful evening.
2 up, 2 down. VA.